over the years, I've had counsel. I've had really solid counsel from people who wanted me to win. But the way in which I used to go about issues was not conducive for me. It also wasn't conducive for the people I was trying to help. And here's the thing, when people see you as someone who can take emotive issues and run with them, they will use you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nomonde Ndlovu, and welcome to In the Kitchen in collaboration with GIBS. Welcome to my home. I really look forward to spending time with you. Today, I am making my own bread, which I've actually made with Greek yogurt. It's quite simple. Self-raising flour and a bit of salt. And we are making what I used to really enjoy at Tasha's, which was the Tasha's salmon flatbread. So I'm going to try and assemble this. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll do a taste test. I hope it tastes great. I did, because we're not cooking the trout, you can use trout, you can use salmon. Really up to you with regards to what fish you like. I am sous videing it a bit in lemon juice, so it does taste a bit lemony. But what we're now going to do is to pull it together. So we've got here our cream cheese, the spring onion, just for flavor. I'm going to use that there. What I use to actually fry down my bread is this amazing butter from Woolies. It's garlic and herb butter. You can't go wrong with garlic. I mean, garlic goes well with absolutely anything.
So you'd probably get along with Tito Mboweni.
I'm not that in love with garlic. I love garlic, and I'm a fan of Tito's, but I don't. No, that's a lot of garlic. So no, not that much garlic. This is all I used because I'm making bread, right? And I've chopped here. So what we have here, I don't know if you can see it, ladies and gentlemen, but we have rocket leaves, and I have sliced red onion, and we have cucumber in here as well. I'm also then going to chop some apple. Huge fan of apple. I know you either love it or hate it. I'm a huge fan. There are people who don't enjoy apple.
We can be friends.
You like apple. You just don't like garlic.
No, I like garlic, just not as much as Tito.
Yeah, I also don't like it as much as Tito does. Now, we're going to cheat a little bit because I got this mayo from Woolies. It's a bit spicy, so if you like a bit of kick in your food, that works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread our cream cheese on our bread.
By the way, were you always a foodie, or did that come with having a family?
I have always loved food. Even as a student and I was broke, I used to save to go to nice restaurants. So I'm sure if you guys haven't been, there's a restaurant called Roots at Forum Harmony. So Forum Harmony is a hotel in Milders Drift, but my first experience of fine dining was at Roots. So they had like a 4-course plated menu with wine pairing. And I actually...
Was this on your student budget?
I forced my friends to go. It was bad. Like, I was broke. So I'd be happy to be broke for food. Like, that's how much I used to love food. So I'd save for it. I think back then, and that was a lot of money back then, it was like 350 bucks. Which should tell you, guys, yeah, I'm relatively old. Okay, so, and for, when did I matriculate? In 2002, so that should tell you, how old I am. But, so in varsity, I used to work part-time in university, so I wasn't making much, by the way. I think then it was like 15 rand an hour that I was making. So imagine building up to 350 when you're making 50 bucks an hour.
Did you make your non-working friends do this on their pocket money?
My friends love me, and I love them too. So I guess we're all saved. I'm also quite persuasive, it's true. But I think we all saved up, and when we had our first jobs as well, which didn't pay much. Because I believe in experiences. I think all of us should aspire to have great experiences. Because you live life once. And while we're alive, I think it's important to make the most out of the gift of life. And I think now more than ever, if we look at what the devastation that COVID has done to most of us, I think it's just a matter of not taking anything for granted. And to be fair, I think food is my love language. At least when I cook for people, that's how I show love. We all have different ways of illustrating love to people we love, but we always have people in our home, so we When I say people, as in family and friends, just to clarify. And I think, you kind of people here, I grew up in a household where it's important to feed people. You can't go into someone's home and then they are hungry and all I give is water. You know what I mean? That would be so disrespectful. So, yeah, I've always loved food in essence. In summary, I've always loved food. I always have.
So going back to your varsity days, right? You said that you were studying full-time, but also working at a call center. So what's the story there? Were you working because you'd asked your parents to get you a car?
Something like that. Yeah, I guess this notion of persuasiveness has now come back. So, I needed to help my folks with regards to finances at the house. I mean, I wanted to take myself off of their payroll and allow them to be able to do things that ordinarily they would not have been able to do. So apart from, needing a car then, because I worked after class. So I used to work for Nedbank in the authorizations call center. So legit, I started out in the call center. So I'd be in class until 4:30, and then from 4:30 to midnight I was at work, or from midnight to 7 in the morning. And then I'd shower and go to class. So it just didn't make sense to expect my folks to come and pick me up all the time. So because they got tired of picking me up, they agreed to let me get a car. So that's how the car came into play. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're working at Nedbank and you're also studying full-time because you need to supplement your parents' income.
Yeah.
That doesn't end up working so well.
Yeah, Emmanuel, you really, really want me to talk about failure. But, it's okay, I will, man. It didn't work out. In my final year, I failed criminal law.
So it was only one module?
I failed one module, Emmanuel. Shame. I don't know if you're looking for a soppy story, but it was one module that I failed. But the struggle was real, though, in terms of getting Wits to allow me to. Wits is my alma mater. So is GIBS. Shout out, love GIBS too. But at the time, when you're a full-time student, it was was frowned upon that you can go to UNISA and come back here and finish. So there was lots of back and forth. Eventually, I was permitted to complete that one subject through UNISA. I did pass. And that was, I got my degree. I got my degree from Bidvest.
So you finish your degree, you never practice, and then you end up working at a call center for a tech company. And so when we spoke about that trip that you took with the CEO, you said that it sort of opened up your mind because you thought, yeah, I'll never be able to do this on a call center salary.
Yeah, we can call a thing a thing. Like, it's okay. Let's call a thing a thing. So I wasn't making that kind of money where I could afford that. So I knew that I like nice things. I realized in that moment that I really do. And what is it called now? I think the new term is soft life. It's, the principle of soft life. I knew that if this is the life I wanted to live, it meant that I'd have to work to make sure that I could get to that kind of lifestyle where I could afford doing the things that I wanted to do without being limited by money.
So did you decide a strategy to move up, or were you fortunate enough to have people that helped to prop you up and to put you on? Was it one? Was it the other? Was it both?
So I think it's important for me to say this up front. I'm Christian. I pray a lot. And I think everything that's happened in my life has been purposeful, and it's been through God's grace. It hasn't been because of my own wisdom. And I think I remember, though, some of the opportunities that came through. And while I was working at UCS, it's not something that, when you in your mind assume that your life is going to go in a specific direction. And I had assumed I'd be a lawyer. Now I'm in a call center. My friends are practicing, I'm surrounded, fortunately, by very smart people. And some of my friends were working for some of the big law firms, like Edward Nathan, Cliff Decker, like they'd made it into that. Now, you haven't made it into those spaces. You're young. You kind of feel like such a failure because your life is not necessarily taking the route that you thought it was. But what I learned, through that process, and the advice I'd give to any young person is it's important to stay in your own lane, and compete with yourself. And from that moment, as I was fasting, because at the beginning of the year, I used to do the Daniel fast, right, which is a 21-day fast. And in going through that, I was lamenting and complaining to God about, but why is this happening? I've tried to do the right things. Why am I stuck in this? Why am I working in a call center? And I was trying to apply for different jobs, and I'd always get to the last interview, but it would not work out. Then I realized I need to chill, because clearly there's something that God is doing here, right, that I may not understand. And one of those things that happened during my fast is I went to Jane's office. So Jane was one of the MDs in the company, and I needed something signed. My boss just needed me to get something signed from her. And that struck up a conversation where she asked me, so what do you want to do? I told her, I'm doing my last subject at Bidvest. But afterwards I was told that, lawyers and tech, so I must go find a gig somewhere else. So she looked at me like I was crazy. And she's like, why can't lawyers be here? So she's like, so what would you like to do? And I said, I'd like to be a service delivery manager. Okay, I was young, guys, man. They drove very nice cars. So remember, I mentioned the notion of soft life. So I figured it kind of worked. So it's not like it was a logical, I thought this thing out. I had just equated the vehicles they drove with the assumption that this is probably the avenue that I want to take. And she then, again, I'm saying it's grace because it wasn't an interview per se. It was a conversation that we then had. And the people I was then lined up with, I think one of the ladies was Alice Marks. Alice was hectic, very, very hectic. But she was pedantic and she was clear. And I think the mandate was very young, very wet behind the ears. And Linnell. So there was Linnell Harris. I had a lot of women around me who were hectic but wanted me to succeed. And a gentleman called Clyde, who was the reason why I ended up at GCS Solutions to begin with. So I had all of these phenomenal older people who were coaching, mentoring me. But the challenge was something that would probably take you 30 minutes to do would take me 5 hours because I was new here. So I transitioned from a call center job, I was there for about 10 months, into a junior management role. And I was swimming in the deep end. It was rough to say the least. It was tough. But through perseverance, and when people believe in you, more than you believe in yourself, sometimes you don't want to let them down. So I worked hard. I worked very long hours because I just didn't want to disappoint them. And I didn't want to disappoint myself.
So is that something that you've learned and taken into your career as well? Giving people a hand up? Is that something that you learned from your previous bosses?
I did. I learned from them, but I continue to learn this from so many different individuals I've had the pleasure and privilege to work with over the years. So there was a question you wanted to ask, so I'll start answering it for you around being a Black professional and how you kind of navigate corporate South Africa. So apart from just being a Black professional, I'm a professional in a very male-dominated sector, which is technology, right? Okay, so I'm assembling. Sorry, guys. I've just now been slowing down. Now I've put rocket on my bread.
Do you maybe want to move your bowls out of the way?
Oh, okay? So, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. These are the bloopers Emmanuel is probably looking for, where we stop and go. But I'm now assembling
you also have to move the other.
This one. Okay. No problem. So we're just assembling. Now this looks a bit messy. Sorry. I'm not OCD, but bit of neatness, nyana, helps.
Yeah, but that's what they all say. No, I'm not OCD. But...
No, I'm saying me. Just now you wanted to be aesthetically pleasing or to see the plate. So boss, I'm just being led here. Wow. And so I'm just gonna also add a bit of our onions to this. So Emmanuel, as I was saying, and unfortunately what we tend to hear a lot, we know that transformation is an issue in corporate spaces. We hear this all the time. And sometimes what you also tend to hear is that we can't find Black talent. And I don't believe in that narrative at all because we exist. But when we fail, we fail on behalf of many. And as such, when you've been given that privilege, you have a responsibility to bring people up with you. So you have a responsibility to use your voice effectively in those spaces and when you are sitting at that table to do what's right. But when we say do what's right, as it relates to me anyway, it's doing what's right for women as well. Because women of all racial demographics, unfortunately, are at the back foot in corporate spaces anyway. And as you remember that context that you're working in, you'd still want to obviously hire the best talent. So the best African talent, the best female talent, because you also don't want to put people in roles and spaces and then they fail. That's the worst thing you can do to anybody. But I'm a huge advocate because of those that have walked before me and those that are coming behind me of ensuring that you create equal opportunities and you create space at the table that you're at for others to shine when they actually get to those spaces.
Has that gotten you in trouble?
Of course. Absolutely. Of course it's gotten me into trouble. Like listen, I've been called many names like over the years, and I'll acknowledge, even myself, that sometimes when you approach issues and challenges from a place of aggression, you are most likely not going to win in that fight. So regardless of whether or not what you are saying and trying to advocate for is true, the manner and approach that you address issues matters, because you're more likely to get a winning solution if you're respectful in your approach and not combative. And I think when I was younger, I was very combative in how I'd approach that. And I've been blessed and privileged to have leaders pulling me aside, where they're like, I think the benefit of the doubt they gave me was she's young. She has a lot to learn. Fortunately, she's kind of smart. So there's like a balance there, And I the saying of never throw the baby out with the bath water, that notion. I've had leaders over the years who didn't throw me out with the bath water, right? So, like, one of them is Peter Ricks, Wilhelm, these are white men, by the way. Etienne Slavet, who literally was like, as a baby, we're going to not throw you out of the bathwater, but Nomonde, there are things you need to learn, and there are things you need to get right. You have great potential. But he literally took me under his wing to try and teach me everything that he knew. The benefit of age and wisdom is that you generally don't have an issue with sharing. And again, I've had leaders like Tato as well. So it's been black men, white men, black women, white women, who've literally tried to mold and shape. And even, when I was at BAT Solutions, Marcel, who was my boss at the time, again, trying to shape like a young mind. And part of that shaping is saying, yes, what you're saying might be correct, but your manner of approach is such that no one would want to listen to you. So you need to learn how to structure your thoughts and your argument in a way where you can have an adult conversation. Over the years, I've had counsel. I've had really solid counsel from people who wanted me to win. But the way in which I used to go about issues was not conducive for me. It also wasn't conducive for the people I was trying to help. And here's the thing, when people see you as someone who can take emotive issues and run with them, they will use you. So I've learned really early on to say, the things I advocate for, I want to advocate as Nomonde, not because I require support from somebody else. I'm doing it because I believe it's the right thing to do.
Would you do it all over again?
I would do it all over again.
In the same way?
Not in the same way. No, not in the same way.
I really respect that, just an ability to not look out for your own interest and to fight for what's right, just regardless of how it affects you. Really just a big salute to you. By the way, have you eaten today?
That's a very good question. I have not. And that's mainly because I've had a rough day, Emmanuel. And my day is still a day. My day is still a day.
Would you like to sample that to see whether what you've made is the girl that you think she is?
I think maybe you should let me know, hey? This is, by the way, this is Kwakoketso, guys. This is the first time I've made this. I promise you, there's, I don't think it's that. It might be very lemony.
Just sample the food and then tell us how it is. Mzi is gonna be our tester. Yeah. Is
it okay? So, with Mzi, I promise you, I don't think it's that bad. Please feel free to be honest and have a little bit of everything.
This is nice.
Is it?
100%.
Would you look forward to eating it again?
Yeah.
Is this something you would look for again?
It's very nice, in fact. I can finish the whole thing.
Oh, please. Okay. Yay. I don't know. But
Yeah, but you have to practice now, so you have to...
At the moment, I don't have a YouTube channel, but sure. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an immense privilege to have you in our home here today. It's been so much fun. Kicking it with Emmanuel Mukadi Tshimama. Can I shout out to everyone who's here? Is that okay? I know you'll edit anyway. I've had a blast. This is the first time I actually made the salmon flatbread. So I'm really glad to hear that it worked out, truly. I can cook, man. It comes down to the fact that I can cook, even if I say so myself, right? And I shout out to Musa, who was like, fam, this is how we're going to whip this thing together. My friends can cook, so that helped. That helped a lot. But please subscribe to In the Kitchen YouTube channel, this amazing, amazing GIBS channel. I really hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me as much as I've enjoyed hanging out with you.
All right, and cut.